April 9th, 2013, Uhuru Kenyatta raises his right hand and takes the oath of office in Nairobi.
I, Uhuru Kenyatta, in full realization of the high calling,
I assume as President of the Republic of Kenya.
I assume as President of the Republic of Kenya.
May 29th, 2015, Muhammad Buhari is sworn in as President of Nigeria, rated as a reformer. May 24th, 2014, Jacob Zuma begins his second term in South Africa. The stage draped in celebration.
I, Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, swear.
I, Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, swear
that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa.
That I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa.
3 dates, 3 presidents, 3 nations. But behind those moments of national pride, there were fingerprints that were not African at all. In Kenya, it was Cambridge Analytica. British, London registered, crafting the very words of the campaigns. In Nigeria, it was also Cambridge Analytica, hand in glove with a covert Israeli outfit called Team Jorge. In South Africa, it was Bell Pottinger, another London giant, turning racial wounds into political weapons. These are not side stories. They are hidden foreign scripts behind our democracies in Africa. My name is DJ Bokali, and Africa is my superpower. Welcome to African Awakening, the Pan-African show that is awakening, uniting, and transforming Africa. Today, we reveal how Africa's elections have been hijacked by foreign consultants and Africa's corrupt ruling elite. Since 2007, Africa has become the laboratory and playground of foreign political manipulation. The corrupt ruling elite here in Africa are selling African data and minds to multiple firms registered in London, Washington, Kyiv, Montreal, Tel Aviv, and numerous foreign locations. These firms manipulate data, spin stories, and seed fear. They sway elections from Kenya to Nigeria, South Africa to Ghana. In the process, they refine similar tactics for use in Europe and America. To understand how deep this runs, meet some of the players by name, by country, and by registration. Let's start with Cambridge Analytica, born and registered in the UK. Although now defunct, these guys swung elections in Africa, especially in Kenya and in Nigeria. They branded themselves as masters of behavioral change. In Kenya's 2013 and 2017 presidential elections, they shaped manifestos, speeches, and even slogans that echoed in stadiums. Those manifestos, speeches, and slogans swayed millions of votes. Next, Bell Pottinger, also London-based, UK-registered, Pure Empire. In South Africa, they sharpened a single phrase, white monopoly capital, until it fractured the country's conversations. Across the Atlantic sits Aristotle Incorporated in Washington, D.C., registered there in the U.S. They supply voter files and data analytics worldwide. In Kenya, their consultants were deported before the vote, but not before they left their mark. Again from the US in Chicago, we have AKPD, Message and Media, US registered. They are tied to Obama's rise. In Nigeria, they were linked to Buhari's Hope campaign. Buhari won those elections. In Ghana, a Ukrainian firm called Brandcom ran hundreds of fake accounts to hammer John Mahama online. They were not able to sway the elections, but they left multiple scars in Ghana, in Ghana's electorate. From Tunis, Your Reputation built covert Facebook accounts that propped up Togo's president. These pages look like grassroots support, but in reality, they were centrally managed to influence operations and designed to drown out dissent and legitimize Faure-Gassinbeh's rule. Then came Team Jorge from Israel. In 2015, they worked very closely with Cambridge Analytica to sway Nigeria's presidential elections. And in Montreal, Canada, there's Dickens and Madson, registered in Quebec. They have recently stepped into the political field of Kenya's politics. They have been hired by Kenya's former Interior Cabinet Secretary, Fred Matiang'i, to assist in his 2027 presidential bid. And that, fellow Africans, is what's going on right here in Africa. One continent, many elections, one pattern. Foreign contracts that often begin with technical assistance but end up with total dependency. But names alone don't tell the story. The danger lives in the playbook. It always starts softly. A logo refresh, a new slogan, a rewritten manifesto. In Kenya, Cambridge Analytica bragged that they had rebranded Jubilee, the ruling party, not once but twice. It felt like harmless marketing, but it was a first step on a path that would soon lead deep into people's fears and private lives and sway them. Then comes the data wave, psychographic profiling from social media. This means using people's likes, posts, and online behavior to guess their personality and emotions. Then tailoring messages influence them. A mother scrolling through her feed sees a promise about school fees. A trader sees a warning about taxes. Two voters, one candidate, two completely different realities.
Whoever recommended this book to me, whoever recommended this book to me, I wish you well. I wish your next 5 reads are all 5 stars.
When margins narrow, the tone hardens. Troll farms swarm hashtags. Bots flood timelines. In South Africa, Bell Pottinger's echo chamber made white monopoly capital sound like gospel. I agree that in South Africa, most of the wealth is indeed still concentrated in white hands, but the white monopoly capital campaign on social media was not about black empowerment. It was about fanning anger to tilt the elections. And the sad truth is this: South Africa remains the most unequal country in the world. In Ghana, Brancom's memes outpaced fact checkers. They painted John Mahama as a corrupt and incompetent individual, using jokes, caricatures, and viral images that look like everyday humor. But by the time journalists checked the claims, voters had already absorbed the lie as truth. And when everything else fails, the gloves come off. Enter Nigeria 2015. A video circulated. Machetes, blood, screams. The message: if Buhari wins, Sharia law spreads and chaos follows. It wasn't persuasion, it was intimidation and lies. And let me be clear, I am not saying that I supported Buhari or Jonathan, his opponent. What I'm saying is this: every minute wasted on these falsehoods was a minute stolen from real debates about jobs, schools, and corruption. Let's dive deeper into how things played out in actual elections. When these tactics were applied in Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, they stopped being strategy and became scars. They became scars. In 2013 and 2017, Kenya's election story was written in London. Cambridge Analytica ran 50,000 surveys, wrote manifestos, and even supplied speeches. The opposition turned to Washington, to Aristotle, but their team was deported days before the vote. Kenyans ended up arguing not about ideas, but about servers, hacks, and algorithms. The Supreme Court ended up nullifying one result, but nothing much changed. Sovereignty felt fragile. Kenyans are still living with the dire consequences of the work done by these foreign firms during those two election cycles. Yet, leading presidential candidates today, from the former cabinet secretary, interior cabinet secretary, to the sitting president, continue signing contracts with these foreign firms. Kenya's elections played out like a coding project: data, algorithms, digital tricks. But Nigeria's election, that was a storm. And when the storm hit, it came with fear, chaos, and intimidation. Let's step into Nigeria. In 2015, the ruling camp, led by President Goodluck Jonathan, turned to Cambridge Analytica in London and Team Jorge in Israel. Hacked materials appeared, alleged medical and financial records of Buhari leaked to paint him as unfit and untrustworthy. A brutal video warned of Sharia rule if he won. It aimed to terrify his supporters out of voting. Buhari still prevailed, but the poison stayed. It corroded trust, leaving Nigerians way more divided and more doubtful of their own democracy. South Africa's wound came not from fear or data, but from history itself. The ghosts of apartheid were dragged back into the present, and a London PR firm weaponized them to shield corruption. In Johannesburg, Bell Pottinger signed a contract with the Gupta Empire, and their brief was simple: protect Zuma and the Guptas by turning the race into a political weapon. Their weapon was race. Bell Pottinger took the phrase white monopoly capital, a term rooted in real inequality, and twisted it into a shield for their clients. Suddenly, trolls were repeating it on social media. Fake blogs were spreading it like wildfire. Talk shows were debating it as if it was a country's defining issue. The backlash was fierce. Investigative journalists exposed the manipulation. Protesters filled the streets, furious that a London PR firm was talking apartheid-era wounds for profit. Bell Pottinger collapsed in disgrace, but South Africa was left scarred. Its racial tensions deepened, its trust in public discourse shattered. Elections end with ballots, but influence does not. What happens when consultants follow you into government? They become even more powerful. Now, they are shaping governance, not just campaigns. They begin shaping policy, budgets, taxes, trade deals, and more. They become a center of power, operating from the shadows. In 2025, Kenya's government paid $2.1 million to Continental Strategy, a U.S. firm registered in Florida, to lobby Washington as AGOA expired. In 2024, Dickens and Madsen of Montreal, Quebec, filed paperwork to lobby for Fred Matiang'i's presidential ambitions. Their contract said it plainly: help him attain the office of the president. The pipeline is clear. Yesterday's data miners become today's policy brokers. Can law shut this door, or do the loopholes just grow wider? Every new regulation seems to arrive after the damage has been done, while consultants are already inventing the next trick. In short, they are often ahead of the legislative curve. Kenya passed its Data Protection Act in 2019. Nigeria followed with its own in 2023. And South Africa banned foreign donations in 2021. All important steps, but all too late. These laws chase yesterday's tricks, while the consultants invent tomorrow's. Contracts hide behind words like strategic communications. Payments move through proxies. Enforcement limps behind innovation. So, what must Africa do now? How do we free ourselves from this neo-colonialism? The answer begins with clarity. We need to define technical assistance, plus all its synonyms, then enact legislation that bans them all. There should be no foreign consulting for all local campaigns in Africa. None. Period. Of course, this means that election bodies and regulators must be able to audit digital trails and prosecute breaches. To do that, they need money and expertise. We must provide both. Sovereignty is not a slogan. It is the right of we, the people of Africa, to choose without foreign hands tipping the scale. Every time a leader hires a foreign firm, a piece of sovereignty is sold.